This video will guide you through three critical sales automations any creative agency or service-based business should implement to save time, increase the speed at which their business can scale, and ultimately drive more conversions. So there are three automations. This is the first one, and this automation is going to take in any leads who've just purchased a digital product or been taken in via your website. So if you have attached or integrated a form on your website for leads who want to inquire, what this automation will do is it will capture the lead and then either add or update them on a row in Google Sheets depending on whether they exist. Send yourself a message on Slack about this new lead and then create or update a task in ClickUp. A relatively simple workflow. And so it starts with the watch responses module for Google Forms. This can, however, be replaced by the landing page like ClickFunnels or the forms you have linked on your website, and it lead responses be directly imported from there to Google Sheets, not via Google Forms, but just to test that this scenario works. It's very easy to just to set up a simple Google form. And then you're going to search rows. And because everyone has a unique email address, you filter for email address because that is the unique identifier. And then if that exists, then you add the row. If that doesn't exist, then you update the row. Sorry. If it exists, then you update the row. If it does not exist, then you add a new row. And then you send yourself a message on Slack, which is basically telling you, a new lead has been taken in, or a lead has been taken in and they've been updated. And it gives you the values that they've given in this Google form or landing page or whatever. And then what that allows you to do is allows you to then call that lead up or gauge, how many leads are coming to me at what times. If you don't want to contact a lead or call them up after you've received this message on Slack, then what you can do is you can just go to Google Sheets and just tick all these boxes on. Automatically, they'll be off. But if you're like, oh, this new lead has just inquired, I don't really feel bothered to contact them, I'll just take the box on. And you'll see why for the scenario three. After that, you're essentially just either creating a task or updating a task. And you're doing so by, first of all, listing all the tasks and then filtering for the field in ClickUp, which has the same email as the email that was filled into Google Sheets. Relatively simple workflow. The second workflow is definitely more complex because it involves lead qualification and call cancellations for those leads who have been rejected. It's the exact same start. You're going to search rows and the exact same process of either adding or updating a row depending on whether the email exists or not. But then here you can see rejected equals false, rejected equals true. So we're filtering based off of whether leads have this tick box turned on or off. If the tick box has been ticked on, it means rejected equals true. If you can see, if I type in false here, tick box is off, but if I type in true, the tick box is on. And so what it'll do is it will use this logic inside of make.com. If the answer to this question is equal to this, or the answer to this question is equal to this, or the answer to this question is equal to this or this, then select true. So then reject them and take the box on. If not, then false. And it uses that logic to basically send the lead through two pathways. Again, if the lead has not been rejected, you will then send yourself the typical message on Slack about this new lead. But instead of saying a new lead has been captured, you say a new lead has booked a call. Because what this scenario is doing is you're essentially capturing leads after they have been after they have booked a call with you via a Calendly call scheduling link. So as they book a call with you on Calendly on the sort of the last page of the landing page, they're asked a few questions, and on those few questions you add the qualification questions to qualify them off. The reason why I only qualify leads who have booked a call and I don't qualify leads who have just been taken in is for two reasons. The first one being that a lead's responses that they give to the form could significantly change after they have purchased a digital product or been taken in. So at this stage, it may be 3 months or 6 months down the line before a lead actually buys from you. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months though. And so there's a potentially long time frame by which the lead's choices or scenarios or whatever could change, meaning the answers they give to the qualification questions could change. So you don't want to qualify them at this stage. But secondly, it's because to qualify leads, you need qualification criteria, and that qualification criteria comes from leads filling in those criteria as questions. And leads at this stage are not incredibly warm to you, essentially. And so, even just adding two or three, or even just one or two qualification questions on the landing page when leads are inquiring or purchasing a lead magnet can lead to a significant drop off rate. And so, you generally find that it's more worthwhile just to have nothing, just to have a simple company name, company email, company email, and then a message if they have one. Whereas leads here, they are generally a lot warmer to you, and so they're far more inclined to spend that extra 20 seconds or so just to fill in three, it could be two, it could be one qualification question. Regarding this qualification, again, you want to be very careful that you're not rejecting any leads who are just about not suitable. This sort of this system is meant to only reject leads who are clearly 100% not suitable for your business. It's not meant to be like, oh, this lead could be suitable, could not be suitable, and then reject them, because the last thing you want is to be rejecting leads who could have actually paid you money and been a client for yours. And so these are only you're only rejecting them based off of responses that show the lead is 100% clearly not worth you having a call with, because they're not going to purchase from you. So, for example, if you're only targeting local businesses, but this lead is a digital agency, or your budget is, your lowest price range is 1,000, but this lead only has a budget of 400-500. In those cases, you'd reject them. But if the lead's budget was $800 and your lowest price was 1,000, although that is $200 less, there is still room for persuasion in the sales call, so you would still qualify that lead, essentially. But anyway, the next step is either you create a message and create a task, or if the lead has been rejected, you're going to list events in Calendly to confirm that this lead does have a call actively booked in Calendly. And then what you want to do is add a row to Google Sheets. You're going to add a row to the rejected leads column. And then you're going to delete the row from this sheet, the normal leads sheet, and then you're going to create a message on Slack. Normally, you would be able to automate the actual call cancellation part, but regarding HTTP addresses and APIs, you need the paid version of Calendly. And so, just for this video, I'll use the free version. It just adds an extra manual step. But again, if I was working for an agency, this manual step would be done by myself, so this wouldn't come at any extra cost time-wise to the creative agency. But anyway, this is just a text saying that a lead has been rejected and you should now cancel their meeting. Send them the template message, which is just saying why their meeting has been cancelled and what they can do if they disagree or still want to have a call. And then you're changing their stage and click up to lost and ticking the box in the rejected lead sheet just to remind yourself that this lead has actually had their call cancelled. Now, the reason why you want to add rejected leads to this column, the January rejected leads sheet, is for two reasons. The first one just being data manipulation. If you have a list of a bunch of leads for every month who have booked a call with you and then been rejected, you can then put all that information into a large language model like ChatGPT or DeepSeek and then have it analyze that data, and then it can come to certain conclusions and identify certain trends, such as it could see 90% of the leads that are being rejected after booking a call are freelancers, and so this maybe might tell the agency, I need to maybe adjust my marketing campaigns to target freelancers a little bit less. But the second reason why is because just in case the agency decides to change certain features of the business, like if their lowest price points originally was $1,000, but now their lowest price point is $500, and so leads that have previously been rejected can now actually be accepted. It means that you do still have that lead, and so you can still then contact them and have them book a call again, should that scenario come up, although it is unlikely. And then the pretty much the exact same system for leads who have been updated. The idea for leads who have been updated here is that they've previously purchased a digital product of yours, or they've previously been taken in and maybe they've been nurtured through email campaigns and now they're ready to book a call with you. But again, it's very similar, in fact, pretty much the exact same system, only instead of creating a new task, you're going to list the tasks and then check for which lead has the same email address in the field in ClickUp with the sheet and the column and the row, the box in Google Sheets, and then update them. So then going into the last scenario, this is a scenario that will remind yourself of any leads that have not been contacted. This is coming back to the thing I mentioned earlier. And then it will also remind myself or you of any leads who have cancelled the call themselves, and then that you can then change that lead status to lost. So here we were dealing with leads who have been rejected, and so we've had to cancel their meeting. This is regarding leads that have, this message is regarding leads that have cancelled the call themselves. There's also some flow control, some error handling here, but you don't need to worry about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to set the variable to equal today, because you're only going to want to look for leads that have been captured today that have not been contacted. And then you're going to search rows and filter for when this tick box here is ticked off. So when tick box is equal to false, essentially. And then you're going to, if that is the case, you're going to create a message in Slack that's saying, look, these are the leads that have been uncontacted from today. And so then you can go into work the next morning, see this message on Slack and be like, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to contact these 3 leads. I forgot to call them up. I will or I won't do it. If you decide, nah, I'm not bothered, you can just leave it. But if you decide, yeah, I actually do want to call them up, you then have the reminder and the opportunity to again. And yeah, the last little module is just a reminder to, I say this is a reminder to myself. This is in the scenario that I would be working with an agency, but this is a reminder to check Calendly for any meeting cancellations that have been done by the lead. And then what you're going to do is you're going to change that status to lost in ClickUp, which is CRM. Typically, ClickUp, is not seen as a traditional CRM. Normally, you'd use tools like Zoho or Salesforce or Go High Level, but I mean, it's trusted by major corporations like Spotify, and it does actually work very well as a CRM. So yeah, the last thing to go through is the run scenarios and the limits that you'd have these scenarios at. So for scenario 1 and 2, you can use a simple formula to determine the interval at which you run the scenario. And that equation is the suggested run frequency in minutes is equal to 1,440, which is the total minutes in a day, divided by X. X is the expected number of leads captured from intake. So landing pages, websites, purchasing digital products, times 1.2. The times 1.2 is useful because you're creating a 20% buffer for yourself. So if lead volume, leads purchasing digital products or being taken in increases by a little bit within a certain time frame, Make will essentially account for it. And so you'll avoid sort of bottlenecks in the scenario running, which is very good. And pretty much the exact same formula can be applied to this scenario, but instead of X, you use Y, which would be the expected number of leads captured from booking a call per day. Typically, this will be significantly less. So typically, this scenario would run at a far lower frequency to the first scenario. And then the last scenario is slightly more complex. The way you calculate it, there isn't a real easy calculation to do. But what I like to do is just to set it daily at 23:55. Obviously, you would have notifications for this off, so this wouldn't disturb you. You just see the message in the morning. But what this would do is send you these messages once a day. And you do it at 23:55 because if you do it at, say, 5 p.m., and then you have a lead that's coming through at 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, whatever p.m., that lead won't be accounted for when you send yourself a message in Slack. And then the next day, when the same scenario goes off and you send yourself another message on Slack, because it's a new day, that lead still won't be accounted for. So you might be missing leads. So that's why you do it as close to the end of the day as possible. Yeah. So that is the step-by-step guide on how these 3 automations work and everything that they can provide for your business. Now, my goal is to be the go-to service for creative agencies looking to streamline their sales pipeline with innovative new strategies. And I'd appreciate if you were to subscribe. Put out weekly videos on topics like artificial intelligence, the agency sales funnel, AI automation, and lead management.